Well, aloha, everybody. This is Cathy Bilsky, your spiritual warrior goddess on the Quantum Leap Let Light Unite show on UPRN radio. And, of course, this is Friday night, March 25th, 2016. Now, tonight I'm going to have a special guest, Debbie Newhook, on, and we're going to talk about what life is like being a targeted individual, mind control, nanotech, and how she actually overcame it all. And, you know, she is really interesting and full of a lot of good information. And before I bring her on, I want to ask you all something. Have you paid attention to where your homeless are? Have you noticed there are less of them? It's very, very important. Now, I've noticed that homeless are disappearing in Hawaii, at least on the Big Island where I live, and I never thought about it, much about it. And then as life has it, God put something in front of me. You know, that's how I do my life. People ask me, how do I know what I'm supposed to put my attention on? I go, well, when it's standing right before me or if it's right in front of my face, that's when I know I'm going to give it attention. And this is the homeless. And then I started doing some research, and I actually want to do a show next week about the missing homeless. And we're talking hundreds of thousands of homeless disappearing people, not just one or two. So I want to ask you, and nobody really knows where they've gone. You know, of course, the authorities go, duh. And so there's some easy ways to solve some of the problems. And you know, some of the rumors are they going to FEMA camps? Well, I don't know. I live in Hawaii. So if I can suggest for those of you that kind of live near a FEMA camp or, you know, one is drivable, why don't you become a bird watcher and go get some really nice binoculars and go bird watching in the direction of the FEMA camp? And if you happen to stop and kind of see some really wild and cool birds kind of flying over the FEMA camp, you might want to take your binoculars and just kind of look down at the camp. What do you see? Who's there? Are there Americans there? Are there foreign troops there? Are the camps empty? Does it have people in it? Do you see people going into it? Do you see people coming out? You need to be the eyes and ears for people. We need help. We need information. And I don't know, I'm old enough to know about the Holocaust and World War II and the concentration camps. And if people are talking about the FEMA camps being like the concentration camps, well, there should be some nasty things going on right now in them. And people in them. I mean, where are the homeless going? If they are going into the FEMA camps, then by golly, they should be there. You should be able to have visual. I mean, of course, you're bird watching, so anyway. And if you get any information, if you would send it to me either at my website at www.angelightom.com, ANGELITEOM.com, or Facebook me, you know, send me a message through Facebook. I would really, really like to know. And, of course, you can call me Chatty Cathy, and I will share that knowledge with everybody. We have to talk about this. This is very, very important. Now, what I want to do real quick is do a power prayer and do some energy work. And I know you'll probably join me on this one because this is a power prayer to help the United States awaken. Woo! Do you hear bells go off and bells and whistles? This really needs to be done. I mean, don't you think? So, you know, if you're going to participate, sit down, put your feet flat on the floor, put your hands in your lap, take some gentle deep breaths. And that's how you hyperventilate on me, okay? And as you're doing that, imagine from the top of your head the silver antenna going up and really connecting with the Creator, and feel all this incredible high energy now come into the top of your head, just pouring into your body. And feel it come down your arms and out your hands. And we're going to create this huge bubble of light. And this bubble of light is going to be over this huge 10-ton crystal to amplify our work. So please give this energy in the name of the presence of God, which I am, through the magnetic power, the sacred fire vested in me, I command. Imagine a golden solar energy descending down around all domes, obelisks, pyramids, and all sacred spots in the United States, anchoring that energy down to the grids and ley lines. See this high energy reconnecting all this, ley lines and grids to the Creator. See the energy descending down around and through the White House, Pentagon, and where the shadow government hides. We call to the higher selves of everyone in government to step forward into the light and now work for the good of the people, making divine decisions. If they choose not to, which is their free will, we ask their higher selves and guardian angels to put them in positions of total harmlessness, letting a light worker take their place. We ask that they're given lots of thought, that they now want to retire and spend time with their families. We call the higher selves of everyone in government, again, to step forward into the light and now work for the good of the people, making divine decisions. If they choose not to, which is their free will, we ask their higher selves and guardian angels to put them in positions of total harmlessness, and that letting a light worker take their place. And we ask, again, that they're given lots of thoughts, that they now want to retire and spend time with their families. We send energy to all the politicians that are working on stopping war and anything else that is for the benefit of Earth and all life forms. See them being divinely inspired with new ways to get positive action moving forward. We command the angels to give them and their families complete protection. We see that all veils of darkness that is surrounding anyone in the U.S. or planet that is keeping people from becoming conscious being removed and replaced with a connection to their spiritual selves, becoming conscious beings. We call the higher selves of the National Guard and military, asking all overlays be removed from you so you too become conscious beings. As you awaken, you see your family, friends, relatives as people that you harmonize with and start doing many acts of kindness for humanity. The more acts of kindness you do, the more you fill up with this intense divine joy that makes you want to do more acts of kindness. Imagine with everyone in the United States, wherever the United States occupy, to them reconnecting to the Creator and becoming an awakened spiritual being. Being given their divine missions, their divine purposes, and everything they need to go forward in joy. So let's fill this up with light and love. And fill it up with more light. And as we do that, see divine light, love, and a divine, balanced, spiritual awakening descending down through the U.S. now. All right, nevertheless, not our will, but thy will be done. So be it. Take a deep breath and release it. Now, before I bring Debbie on, I just want to bring up really quick that everyone knows about Flint, Michigan. Well, it's been around. It's been in the papers. People are talking about it. And I'm from Michigan, so I'm very, very happy. And I've discussed it quite a bit and done energy work for it. And if you don't understand what it is, the governor of the state of Michigan, Rick Snyder, literally changed the water system, the water supply in Flint. And the people of Flint now started drinking like lead and really, really horrible water, which is making everybody sick. And it can affect people from generations, for a lot of generations. So it's finally coming to light and it's getting attention. But one place that it's also happening and they're not getting attention is the Navajo. And actually, the Navajo water supply is more horrific than Flint, but actually nobody cares about it because they're Native Americans, which is really sad. Now, the news out of Flint, Michigan brought the issue of contaminated drinking water into sharp focus, and as it was revealed that officials at every level, local, state, and federal, knew about lead-poisoned water for months, actually for years, but did nothing to address the problem. Now, under state-run systems like utilities and roads, poor communities are the last to receive attention from government-plagued by inefficiencies and corrupt politicians. Perhaps no group knows this better than Native Americans, who have been victimized by governments for centuries. In the western U.S., water contamination has been a way of life for many tribes. The advocacy group Clean Up the Mines describes the situation in Navajo country, which is far worse than in Flint, Michigan. Since the 1950s, their water has been poisoned by uranium mining to fuel the nuclear industry and the making of atomic bombs for the U.S. military. Coal mining and coal-fired power plants have added to the mix. The latest assault on Navajo water was carried out by the massive toxic spills into the Animas and San Juan River when the EPA, that's Environmental Protection Agency, recklessly attempted to address the abandoned Gold King mine. In 2015, the Gold King mine spill was a wake-up call to address dangers of abandoned mines, but there are currently more than 15,000 toxic uranium mines that remain abandoned throughout the U.S. For more than 50 years, many of these hazardous sites have been contaminating the land, air, water, and national monuments such as Mount Rushmore and the Grand Canyon. Each one of these thousands of abandoned uranium mines is a potential Gold King mine disaster with the greater added threat of radioactive pollution. For the sake of our health, air, land, and water, we can't let that happen. And that was from Chairman Whiteface from the South Dakota-based organization Defenders of the Black Hills. Now, there's no comprehensive law requiring cleanup of abandoned uranium mines, meaning corporations and governments can walk away from them after exploiting their resources. 75% of abandoned uranium mines are on federal and tribal lands. Leona Morgan of Nano points out one example, that United Nuclear Corporation mill tailings spill of 1979 north of Church Rock, New Mexico, left an immense amount of radioactive contamination that downstreamers today are currently receiving in their drinking water. A mostly Navajo community in Sanders, Arizona, has been exposed to twice the legal limit allowable for uranium through their tap. Last week, Nano participated in protests in Washington, D.C. to raise awareness of past and ongoing contamination of water supplies in the West, which disproportionately affects Indian countries. Last week, Nano said the delegation is warning of the toxic legacy caused by more than 15,000 ohms nationwide, extreme water contamination, surface drip coal mining, and power plants burned coal laced with radioactive particles, radioactive waste from oil well drillings in the Bakken Oil Range, male tillings, waste storage, and renewed mining threats to sacred places such as Mount Trailer in New Mexico and Red Butte in Arizona. The uranium mine causes radioactive contamination, and as a result of all the residents in their vicinities are becoming nuclear radiation victims. New Mexico and the federal government have provided little funding for widespread cleanup, and only occasionally are old mines remediated. The governments of New Mexico and the United States have a duty to clean up these radioactive mines and mills, and furthermore, to perform health studies to determine the effects of radioactive poisoning. Now, the Native Americans, the Navajos, actually have to have water, drinking water, shipped into them every day. So, heads up, everybody, give them attention. And right now I'm going to bring on Debbie Newhook. I had to share that story, Debbie, because we're talking about targeted individuals.
Right. Nice to talk to you again, Cathy. How are you tonight?
Oh, I'm really doing fine. And thank you so much for coming on the program.
Oh, yeah, no problem. So there was a bit of a problem with the last show we taped? Or it didn't tape?
No, it went really well. My son just hasn't put it up yet. So, well, boys will be boys. When they need the money, trust me, they'll get it up. Thank God they don't listen to my shows. So we're going to talk about, being a targeted individual and, mind control and nanotechnology. And this is a brand new audience, so no one has heard you say a word yet.
Okay, all right, awesome. Okay, so I'll just recap just a bit. Back about 20-odd years ago, I used to be in the helping field. I'm blacklisted now. And I picked up a ritual abuse case from the Edmonton Child Protection Services. It came in through the organization I worked for. However, they did not want this case. So my boss of the agency that I worked at, we did contract work for child welfare. So we did early intervention and stuff like that. But anyways, the contract came into his office, and he didn't want to take it. And actually, nobody else in the office wanted to take it either. And I came in really late that day, and I actually didn't really clue in why nobody wanted it. I was pretty green, actually. I was only working in the field for about a year or so, maybe a little bit longer. And it paid really well. I'm just going, well, why didn't anybody else want it? I didn't clue in. But anyway, he calls me into his office and he tries to talk me out of it, and I'm not understanding why. And I asked him why, and he just said, good luck. And that was it. And then I picked up the case, and actually I started seeing stalkers, but I thought I was kind of imagining it. I'm going, oh, come on, Deb, this isn't happening. But then things started to happen. Okay.
But the case was about a little girl being abused by satanic people.
Yes, satanic ritual abuse. She was 7 years old. Yeah, she was 7, and so now she's definitely well into her 20s now. And I never contacted her afterwards to find out.
What you did is you brought this attention. You were giving it attention, so now all of a sudden you were being stalked.
Well, I actually believe that they would have done it to anybody. So it's anybody who picked up the case probably would have been targeted, like I am. And so, anyways, after I picked up the case, and I did the term of respite care for her. Then I couldn't shake that I was being followed, and I had another job, and I worked at a halfway house for federal parolees, male federal parolees, and they just happened to be in my community. And people were following me there, and I'm just going, nobody's even really supposed to know that this is in the community. It's pretty QT, But anyway, so they were following me there, and then somebody came into the backyard, and I lived upstairs in the house, and my landlord lived downstairs, and he was kind of a country boy living in the city, and he had rabbits for meat. Well, I came home, and 15 rabbits' heads were all ripped off, body parts lying all over the grass in the backyard and in the back alley, and I just freaked. And by then I'd already been broken into, and my landlord actually caught the guy in my bedroom. These stalkers obviously weren't clued in that my landlord lived in the basement, or they weren't paying attention, whatever. But anyways, I was away, but I guess they knew I was away. I was away on holidays, and it was during that time that they broke in, and he chased them out with a gun, shotgun, scared the crap right out of them. But anyways, he was in my bedroom going through my underwear drawer, of all places. But anyways, all this stuff was happening, so I was getting freaked out, and I decided I'm leaving town. I mean, I was being stalked. I saw it. And then 2 days before I'm planning to leave town, I get a phone call from the Child Welfare Department, and somebody made a complaint against me in the community. And I'm going, what? Okay, so now I have a black mark on my, they did an investigation on me before I even left Edmonton. I told them I'm leaving Edmonton, I'm being stalked. And anyways, they had to do an investigation because somebody reported it, and they cleared me of it, but then I'm still leaving, and so I left 2 days later, and then came out west here to Nano. where I had family, and I thought I left it behind. And there was a little bit of stuff that was happening. Like as soon as I got there, somebody broke my windshield on my car, and I just kind of put it down to having foreign plates, out-of-province plates, and there was word going around that they didn't like out-of-province people because they were coming to take their jobs or whatever, you know. So little things were happening like that, and then it kind of got quiet, and then it didn't get quiet. It went on for about 10 years with not really anything happening, except I had a fire. But that was an interesting thing. A fire that was identical to a fire that I had when I was 15 years old. 15 years old, I had a fire on the east coast of Canada, and my parents were not home. Nobody was home except the children. And I'm babysitting across the street. I'm a Navy brat, and we were on a Navy base. And we had a fire in the house across the street. I wasn't in my house. My brother was babysitting, and I was babysitting across the street. No family, and my little brother damn near died. The identical fire happened in my house when my oldest son was 15, and I wasn't home, except I brought my youngest son with me, so he wasn't there. My oldest son was home alone, except with one friend, and one friend saved him because they were asleep when the fire started, and they almost died. And both families, no insurance. This is the other thing, the other synchronicity or whatever the heck it is, no insurance. But anyways, I'm getting sidetracked here, but let's go back to Edmonton. So lots of happening. I leave Edmonton, I come out where I have family. About years ago, then they made me aware that I was in harassment. Police are no help. Actually, I found out since then that they are involved. The police are involved. So,
well, let's talk about some of the things that you were attacked with. They did mind control on you, yeah? And, we got to squish this down into time, so.
The mind control I didn't understand right away. I was hanging out on once I realized I was being targeted, I looked on the internet to try and figure out what was going on. Interesting enough, I was looking at other conspiracies too, which just happened to be Morgellons. So I've been studying Morgellons since the day they woke me up, because I'm going, well, if they're doing this to me, what is going on in the big bad world? Well, the first thing I stumble across is Morgellons, and then
what is Morgellons?
I'm looking at these pictures of these people with these sores all over their body. It's absolutely impossible not to see them. And the doctors are accusing them of picking their skin or stuffing, if you can imagine, stuffing threads into their skin. This is what they were accused of at first. And then they started changing it, and then it was all delusions of parasites is what all the Morgellons people were labeled with. And I'm going, what? It's blatant. And then children were getting it as well. And so, you can't really say that to a child. Like, you're self-mutilating yourself. That's exactly what the doctors were saying to all these people who were going to the doctor. So, Morgellons. I don't have the skin sores, but I found out that I have internal Morgellons. I have no sign of it at all, but I figured it out on my own, and I call it nanotechnology. And it comes from the chemtrails, and it's poisoned our water, our food, our air, everything. It's everywhere, and I would say that just about everybody is contaminated unless you've done years and years of detox, because it does take that long to get it under control. And because I have been detoxing, and I won't stop detoxing.
After we talked the last time, I did some looking up myself on nanotechnology, and it's really friggin' creepy. There's this one man who did a sketch of, they were talking about that, sometimes it feels like you've got ants crawling inside of you. And This man was very, very psychic, and he drew a picture of like a spider with this very weird head on it, and you could actually go back hundreds and hundreds of years ago and find pictures of the same little creepy thing.
I had the identical thing come out of me. Just one day, I randomly looked at my samples, the samples coming out of my body as I detoxed. I'll get into what I did to detox. It was lengthy. But anyways, as I'm detoxing in my detox bath, that's just one of the parts of my body I detox. I would take a sample. I would slow the draining down on my bathtub. I would just use a coffee filter around a hair catcher just to slow the draining down, because this stuff is really tiny. And as I found out, it's not just little tiny flecks or fibers. There's biofilm as well, and crazy-looking insects like you just mentioned. Okay, one of the samples I picked and I magnified it and I looked at it, and I called it the psychedelic spider, and it was staring at me. It had eyes, and it was blue and transparent. So it was blue ribbing with transparent, like nanotubes. And it was weird, and it had the same shaped head as I know what picture you're talking about. It had the identical shaped head, but it was blue and clear. So that was one of my samples that I cut out of my body. And what did I do? Unless you have some questions. Do you have some questions for me? What I did to get this out and how I...
Well, yeah, of course. We have to go through what you've experienced, because I'm sure a lot of people are experiencing the same stuff. And, and you are doing a lot of cleansing to pull it out of your body, but you're just doing it at such an awareness that, I'm just blown away. So go ahead, what do you do to get this crap out of you?
Well, first of all, what sent me, I went to a naturopath. I have to say that, I've been hanging out with the Morgellons and Lyme people, and the targeted community too, but anybody who goes to mainstream medical does not seem to get better. But there's a few of us out there who have regained our health and our lives back by stepping outside mainstream medical. So I sought out a naturopath when I actually attacked an infection that was in the side of my jaw, and it was running down my neck. And it stemmed from some kind of infection that was going on in my mouth. So I took my oil of oregano, and I took about a teaspoon of it, and I slapped it on the side of my face, and I rubbed it in. Well, within about 30, 40, 50, 60 seconds, it moved. And it moved from my jaw up to my temple. And there, the identical pain that it had down in my jaw was now up in my temple. And I'm going, oh, my God. So I took another teaspoon, a lot of oil of oregano, and I rubbed it all in my hair and my temple, and within 20 seconds, it moved, and it moved in a zigzag motion all the way around the back of my head and stopped at my other temple, and that's when I freaked. I'm going, oh my God, I know what this is. I've got freaking nanotechnology running through my body. And so I sought out the naturopath, and the first thing I did, sat down in his little office there, and I talked to him, and I asked him if he was aware of the chemtrails, because I had to know where I stood with this man, because what I talk about is freaking bizarre, and I don't shut up. So I had to see where he was. So he knew about the chemtrails, and I said, okay, do you know about Morgellons and nanotechnology? And he goes, yes. So that was it. I felt comfortable. So he saw the nanotechnology in my body. He just, I don't know how, but he looked in my eyes, and I know I have them in my eyes as well. And he said, yeah, you've got the Morgellons nanotechnology, and he says, and you've also got parasites. And I go, what? I said what to myself, but I'm just looking at him and with wide-eyed, and I'm going, I'm thinking to myself, no, I don't. Yeah, I got this nanotechnology, but I don't got no parasites. Well, it turned out the stuff that he gave me to start detoxing was a product called MMS, Miracle. Well, MMS it's an old name. They want to change it, actually. Mineral Solution. and you activate it with citric acid, and it kills everything. And I hurt really bad on it. The MMS is a small bottle, but you just use drops at a time. It's pretty powerful, and the government does use it to treat our water system, but they don't like us using it, and they are going after some people who do make it. You cannot purchase it in a health food store. You can't purchase it anywhere out there commercially. You have to find somebody who makes it, or you make it yourself. There is directions online on how to make it, and videos, and lots of videos on there on how to take it. And I won't get into how to take it, but I used it for everything for 6 months, for the first 6 months. I used it for bathing in. I drank it. The drinking of it was the hardest part for me because it really made me feel nauseous. But it was killing off so much stuff in my gut. That's where the nausea was coming from, because I don't get nausea when I take it now, and that's 4 years later. So 4 years ago, it was making me feel sick. Okay, so I choked it down, and then I also did enemas with it. That was amazing, because that's actually when I saw the parasites. When I did the MMS enemas, then I saw the parasites, and I'm just going, oh my God, no more denial. So right away, I went and sat on a group for autistic children, because back 4 years ago, not too many people were doing MMS for Morgellons or Lyme. There might have been a few people, but this group was quite large, with all the parents of the autistic children who were also giving their children MMS. So I sat down and watched, and I took part a little bit in the conversation, but I really wanted to just sort of sit back, and then they started showing pictures of what was coming out of their autistic child. Well, it was identical to what was coming out of me. Now, what I've discovered that these parasites are a genetically modified parasite, and they're linking it to our food. Doesn't matter if you're vegetarian or a meat eater. And it's a bitch, literally, to get out. And it's in 3 different stages. It has the worm stage, where it actually looks like a rope unraveling. And then it has the fecal stone stage, where it just looks like little things of poop. And then there's the jellyfish stage, or the slime stage, and that's the stage that it actually went traveling through my body. And a year and a half ago, I was actually really healthy about a year and a half ago, so I went back to working out at the gym and swimming at the pool. So I was doing some workout on the weights, and I got this little sore in my back up around my shoulder. And so I just thought it was a pulled muscle. So I put my DMSO. DMSO is a horse liniment that a lot of us use. It's very effective topically, and you can take it internally too for sulfur. It's a sulfur product. It's out of the pitch of a pine tree. But anyways, it helps with healing and sore muscles and stuff like that. So I put a little bit of cannabis oil on, and I pushed it in with the DMSO to get it down deep, because that's what the DMSO, it makes it penetrate deep. It can even go all the way down to the bone. So I did that, and it moved. Again, I'm going, oh my God, do I put more stuff on again and feel it move again? Well, I did. It was a learning experience, and I didn't die, but it was scary. I put the second application of DMSO cannabis oil on my back, and I felt it move right into my lung, and immediately I was down for the count. It was like I got pneumonia within 10 seconds, and I could not breathe. So I was terrified. So I did. I went online, and it just so happened a friend, I've been conversing with her, and we've been talking about detoxing and stuff, and all that stuff, and we shared stuff. So she said, Deb, this is what you got to do. You've got to do the salt and vitamin C cure and get that thing out of your lungs. So I didn't know how much to take, and I was too sick to go out. So I had some vitamin C. I had ester C, and I don't know whether it's good or not. I don't even take it. I don't even know how it ended up in my house, but I just took it anyway. I took 5 or 6 ester C with a glass of salt water and downed it. Did that 3 times a day, and by the end of the day, I could get out of bed. I wasn't better. I had like extreme COPD symptoms, and walking upstairs was almost impossible. But then I just kept working at it and kept drinking the salt water and taking the vitamin C, and then finally it started breaking up, and I was coughing up lots of stuff. But I still didn't get rid of it. It was still hanging in there, and I was still wheezing a bit. But I guess I got some of it out, and then I went for a treatment in town that my naturopath, it was a new business that opened up in town, and he told me that it would be helpful for it to get rid of the Morgellons and anything else that's going on in my body. So I go, and it's like a stand-up suntan machine. Now what this machine emits is photons, infrared, and Rife. All those things actually heal individually, will heal the body. Now that's all 3 things are emitted from this like a stand-up sunbath. You stand up there naked and you stand in front of it and you rotate and you stay up to an hour. Well, I never did an hour. I only did like 15 minutes. It's quite expensive. And it goes by 15-minute increments. And but anyway, so I did 5 15-minute treatments, and by the time I did the 6th treatment, I could feel it coming on. And the end of the 6th treatment, I actually went to my naturopath to have a colonic right after, because the colonic, when you combine the Rife and the photon and the infrared, this machine, and then go for a colonic right after, it really pulls out a lot of stuff because it kind of shakes it up in there. But I had a hard time. I couldn't hardly even do the colonic, and my naturopath sent me home, and he saw I was totally distressed. Well, that was it. I got home, and I was down for the count again. I got pneumonia. It was like pneumonia. It wasn't pneumonia because it only lasted 36 hours. And then I was okay, but then I still had a little bit of COPD, and I was coughing up piles and piles and piles of stuff, and then finally I could breathe. And I don't have that wheezing that I've had for years, actually.
Now, you tell me now, though, that you still take the salt water, and you take about a quart a day, but you use Himalayan salt.
Yes, and the reason I do, because I know it helped me on many, many levels. And now I understand why, because the salt is, well, it balances your body pH. It actually raises your body pH if it's down too low. It aids in digestion. It got rid of my brain fog. It took about 2 weeks. Now, I had extreme brain fog from this, and I was constantly having EMF entering my body because this nanotechnology is piezoelectric. Okay, so even if I wasn't being assaulted by the assholes who do this shit to me, then the nanotechnology in my body was actually sucking up EMF from any source because I was stressing this nanotechnology, and as a stress response, this nanotechnology draws in energy, and I pulse, especially when I use something that kills them or eradicates them. I don't know whether they're not really, are they alive? I wouldn't, not kill them, but eradicate them. Anything that eradicated them caused my heart to palpitate really hard and my body to vibrate. So every treatment that worked, that's how I knew that it was working, because that's what I experienced right from day one when I started the mineral solution, MMS. So what did I do? Okay, for the first 6 months, every morning I would get up and drink my salt water, and then later on I added lemon to it because I still have a hard time drinking just plain salt water. I actually like the lemon and salt water. So I'd start with the salt flush my colon, and I wasn't sleeping at that time. I was awake every morning at 3 o'clock in the morning, so I had lots of time to do this before I went to work at 9 o'clock. So I had 6 hours. So I would do the flush. Take about an hour, sometimes a little bit longer. The first time I did the flush, I did it on the weekend as they recommended on the information on the internet. Do it on the weekend because the first day, 2 days, even 3 days, you are just eliminating for 3-4 hours. So I did that. I started it on the weekend, and then by Monday I was still eliminating, but I have a cleaning business, so I can use people's washing. But anyways, okay. So I do the salt flush, wait for that to happen, then I would jump in my detox bath. So I did a detox bath of MMS, and I started off with 30 drops, and eventually I opted up to about 50 or 60 drops. And at the end of my detox bath, that's when I would enema right in my bathtub. And the reason I did that is because I tried to do enemas the way they show you on the internet, do them lying on the floor, or if you can do them lying on the bed. And then getting up no, it wasn't working for me. I was overweight. Oh yeah, all this detoxing, I lost a bunch of weight too, but I was overweight and lying on the floor and trying to get up. Are you kidding? It explodes. So no way. No way. So my friend tells me, she says, just try this. I've done it. She says, it really works well. So I did. And I'm going, oh my God, this is the way to do it. I mean, I was overweight, so the buoyancy of the water helped. I could get out of the bathtub without exploding everywhere because I had...
Well, no, everybody's
got to laugh
this stuff. Well, and I will own up. I do enemas. I own my own enema bag. My daughter calls. She goes, oh, yeah, then you get exploding ass.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, so that's what I would do. I would use an MMS enema, and I would do the enema right at the end of my bath.
Guys, the purpose of the enema, you even know how crappy it sounds, is you're pulling out the toxins at the end of the day or whenever you do it, so it's not recirculating, and now you can get better. So we probably have about 6-7 minutes left, just to let you know, Debbie.
Okay, so maybe I should speed on here. So now what else works? Well, we found that killing parasites works because we seem to be contaminated with some kind of weird GMO parasite killer, and there seems to be some kind of symbiotic relationship with the Morgellons nanopathogen and the ropeworm, and I don't know what it is. What kind of relationship it is, but they seem to be all together. Like when the biofilm comes out, it's full of nanoparticulates as well. So is the nanotechnology infecting the parasites, or do they have some kind of loving relationship? I don't know. I actually think that because the nanotechnology is small, it's infected our body, so why wouldn't it infect other parasites? It got into my dog and my cat. I had to treat my dog as well. Unfortunately, they killed my dog. But the mind control, I never recognized the mind control until I began to detox, and then it came in big time. Well, they did not want me detox, and that was darn sure. First thing that they started telling me was I was going to die if I tried to take this stuff out of my body.
So they were literally sending mind thoughts into your brain.
Yes. And then I also had mind control from the nanotechnology during many, many baths. Now, this nanotechnology, a lot of it is in our skin, so we should be detoxing our skin daily baths. Even if you can bath go run in the ocean. You live in the perfect place, Hawaii. Oh my God, the salt, because they do not like salt. They don't like salt baths either. So. Get into a bath of any kind, because just even water will draw out some of this stuff. But it's best if you can have some kind of drawing action. Salt is good. The MMS bath is good. Epsom salts you can do. Baking soda and Himalayan salt or sea salt is a radiation detox bath. I did actually switch my bath after 6 months to a salt bath because, one, the nanotechnology really does not like this MMS, and it started running deep, and it ran right into my joints. I was getting really sore joints, and I knew exactly what was going on. They were running from the cure. So I switched to salt, and then stuff started coming out again, and then I became a very salty body, and I knew it was helping. It helped my dog, too. I live on the ocean, too, and I took my dog to the ocean every day for a saltwater swim, and within 2 weeks, I noticed a big difference in her, and she had the doggy morgellons, or doggy mites, or whatever it is that I see all my clients, dogs and cats, they all have it, varying degrees, the same as my dog, only they activated it in my dog, so my dog was being assaulted by weapons just like I was. In fact, she was getting it more because they threatened through voice to skull. This is the technology sending in the mind control, but they told me if I did not shut up about nanotechnology and getting it out of the body, that they would kill my Indy. So they waited a few months, and they killed her on September 11th, 2012, so I wouldn't forget.
Oh, I believe they can put thoughts into your head. I mean, they do it all the time. There was one time I was standing up for Palestine in one of the Jewish newspapers, and after I was all done, I got these thoughts in my mind, get your will together. And I'm going, oh, God, give me a break, get my will together. And it is scary in the and then all it does is make me angry. It's like, how dare you?
Well, some of the problem, though, like getting this out that there is mind control is a good thing, because just recently, 2 incidents where the perpetrator has suggested that he has been taken over by artificial intelligence, one guy, or the other guy said he got voices in his head to tear up the Jehovah's Witness church. Okay, so...
Well, Debbie, we've got probably a minute and a half left to go. If people want more information, can they get a hold of you on Facebook or anywhere?
Yes, just I'm on Facebook, Debbie Newhook. But just a last little word here. Being aware that they can do this technology will stop these people from doing crazy things, listening to the voices in their head. People got to know that they actually are capable of this, and once you know that it's going on, we don't act on these voices. We know we are rational people. But there are people out there that don't know, and I would say that there's a lot of people in the mental institutions who complained about hearing voices, who are there, and they're probably crazy now because this technology can drive you crazy, but they were probably telling the truth, because this has been going on for decades. Voice to skull technology was discovered 40, 50 years ago. It was patented numerous times. The military patented, I think, twice. Because they wanted, they're still working on it. They probably actually are doing it, because our technology is at least 50, 60, maybe even 100 years ahead of what we actually know, or they show us. So the military wanted the voice to skull, so the military guy said instant communication on the battlefield. No walkie-talkies, nothing. Just think about it. Hey, buddy, there's a gook over there. Get him. Sorry.
Well, now I get it. Now it is, listening to the voice in the head, and there's many times they just tell it to shut the F up.
Yeah, but this is military technology. Everything that's happening to us, it's all experimental military. It's population control. It's bioweapon warfare. It's
very sinister.
Wi-Fi and the grid interfaces with all this fallout from the chemtrails.
Thank you, Debbie, for coming on, and we'll have to do this again. There just is not enough time in an hour, is there, to get all this information in. So if anybody has, any questions, you can get a hold of Debbie Newhook on Facebook, or if you can contact me at my website, www.angellighteom.com, ANGELITEOM.com. Also, don't forget about the Enlightenment Movement 2016 website, and that's at Enlightenment Movement 2016 at Shutterfly.com. And, enlightenment will be happening all year unless we have such a major quantum leap that you can see change and there's no more wars and all this stuff stops. But that's the outcome of a quantum leap into enlightenment. So keep the momentum going. And for those, I don't know if I mentioned last week or not, but, an enlightenment moment was the Dark Act failed. The Senate did not allow Monsanto to go through and get their way where they would not have to label any of their GMO products, and now they do. So it's very exciting. Debbie, thank you again for coming on.
Yeah, you're welcome. I never did get a chance to tell you that on the 2-year mark, though, I started cannabis oil, and that got rid of the mind control, and that actually completely healed my body.
Well, on that high note, we're going to have to say good night. And aloha, everybody. And again, if you live near a FEMA camp, go check it out, okay? Be our eyes on the ground and share the knowledge. Aloha.